Counter-Strike has gone through many changes throughout the years. I wanted to talk about the changes that happened to CSGO, which is now known as Counter-Strike 2 in this video. I'll be covering topics such as cut game modes, cut maps, and also factions that were released in the game. Starting off with the maps, I'll go through a handful of favourites that I remember playing over my 3,000 hours of game time, but I'll also separate this section into bomb defusal and hostage maps. So, I'm going to try not to go on about each map for too long, so I'm going to keep it short, because there's a lot to get through, but I wanted to start off with DE_Abbey. This was originally added on January 24th of 2019, and it was shipped into the game alongside Zoo, which was previously in Operation Bloodhound. This map was created by the Whaleman and Lizard, and featured classic 2 bomb sites split between open areas that allowed for long-range gunfights, and some close quarters action as well. This for me was a popular map amongst my friends in 2019 when it was released. It holds many inside jokes that still run on to this day, but it was removed by Valve on April 25th, 2019. Another classic that's featured a couple of times in the game's history is DE Seaside. This map takes place on a wooden dock on a remote island. It's very fast paced and usually is T-sided through their control of mid early on, which forces counter-terrorists to utilise boost spots and wallbangs. Originally added to the game on April 25th, 2013 as a part of Operation Payback. It spent almost 3 years in the map pool until it was removed on the 13th of October 2016. Almost 3 years later it returned for a brief moment on the 31st of August 2019, but it was quite short-lived and got removed again on the 18th of November 2019. The third bomb defusal map that I'm going to talk about probably deserves an entire video on its own, as it's arguably one of the most popular maps across Counter-Strike's history. DE Dust was originally created for Counter-Strike 1.0 by Dave Johnston, but was adapted by Valve and refreshed for Counter-Strike Go. It was clear that this map paved the way for the more popular DE Dust 2 in its initial layout, having some similarities to its successor that first appeared in Counter-Strike 1.1. Dust was featured from launch and stayed in the map pool for 5 years before being removed on the 13th of November 2017, after Operation Hydra ended due to the decline in player count that was referred to in his blog post titled The Best of Hydra. However, it was turned into DE Short Dust for Wingman and Demolition for the rest of CSGO's lifespan. It got lost in the transition to Counter-Strike 2, however, and it was never remade or added to the map pool again, which is a big shame because I think it's one of the things that Wingman lacks is a larger variety of maps. The final bomb defusal map that I'm going to talk about is DE Season, an original map made by Cached, intended and created for tournament use in Counter-Strike Source in 2007. It was updated upon CSGO's release and uploaded to the workshop on February 8, 2013. After this port was made, a revamped version was published by FM Pwn, who worked with the original creator to make a newer version which went on to be featured in Operation Vanguard and Bloodhound. The map stayed in the game until October 13, 2016. Personally, I would love to see this map updated and shipped to Counter-Strike 2, but with the lack of operations being released as of late, and community maps only being added in short bursts, I don't think we'll see this map back in the map pool for a long time. However, one thing I can see being an issue if this map was to come back is the lack of set map factions and player models. This map design made the present factions stand out, but with Counter-Strike 2's ability to customize your agent, I'm not too sure this would work anymore. Okay, so moving on to the hostage maps. This might be the most controversial take I'll ever say on this channel and might annoy a lot of Counter-Strike players and friends, but I honestly like hostage maps better to defusal maps, and I wish there was more of them. Out of the current 13 competitive maps to choose from, there are only Office and Italy which are hostage maps. No other previous hostage maps are accessible anymore in Counter-Strike 2, but where are they and why did they get removed? Starting the list, I'm going to use CS Agency. I played this map so much back in the day, it was one of my favourites despite being known for always hosting cheaters spin button on each server. This map setting is a conflict taking place in a commercial penthouse inside the skyscraper. Originally, it was added to the game on the 19th of September 2013 and was developed by Patrick Murphy and Rick Underhill. The map featured in 4 operations: Bravo, Phoenix, Bloodhound, and Hydra. During Operation Hydra, this map was made a competitive map, but also featured in the Boom Headshot game mode, where only headshots and backstabs dealt damage. This map was never carried over when CSGO got updated to Counter-Strike 2, but there is good news for agency lovers out there. The two developers have created a port of Agency for Counter-Strike 2 with updated graphics and a few changed details to modernise the map, while still staying true to its original layout. I'll leave a link to this map on the Steam Workshop in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. Next up is CS Assault, a timeless classic that is featured in almost every version of Counter-Strike besides Counter-Strike 2. The sausage map is set in a warehouse and is notoriously known for being heavily T-sided, with its unbalanced spawn locations giving terrorists access to the higher areas of the map, and the warehouse itself having very minimal entrances that don't help the counter-terrorists at all. If you thought this was bad already, in the original version of Counter-Strike, the terrorists even had cameras that they could watch the enemies and know where they're coming from, but this was removed in Counter-Strike Source. I couldn't find the exact date that this map was removed from the game, but I believe it was sometime around 2017 due to lack of players. However, there is a community-made project on the Steam Workshop right now which is making a HD remake of Assault for Counter-Strike 2, shown on screen now. I think it's really cool, but we'll probably never see this map in the game again. So, I know I'm kind of cheating by including this map, since it's not cut and it's still in the map pool for Counter-Strike 2, but it is easily one of my favourites in the entire game and I wanted to talk about it regardless. CS Office was made by Alexander Malinov for Counter-Strike Beta 7.0, and it was later adapted by Valve and included in every version of the game. A fun fact about the Counter-Strike Source version is you used to be able to move most non-physics based models and like filing cabinets, which would slow down the counter-terrorists and make the map even more T-sided than it already is, but this was removed in CSGO and stayed the same in Counter-Strike 2. The similarity, however, is the same two achievements were once obtainable in both CS Source and CSGO, them being Office Map Veteran, obtained by winning 100 rounds, and A World of Pain, obtained by shooting all 14 windows in a single round. These are no longer available because of the CS2 update that removed all but one achievement in the game. There's a handful of game modes to choose from in CS2 right now, such as Premier, Competitive, Wingman, Casual, Deathmatch, and Arms Race, but what happened to the others that seem to be forgotten about and with no sign of returning? Danger Zone was Valve's attempt at joining in on the Battle Royale craze of 2017/2018. This saw the game mode added to Counter-Strike Go on December 6, 2018. It featured servers hosting 18 players, which could be played by yourself, with a friend, or in trios, but the trios weren't long-lived, and the focus shifted to the solo and duo game modes. The general concept was you parachute into an island, selecting your designated hexagon on the tablet before launch. Pick a piece of equipment to start with, such as exo jump boots, ballistic shields, or armor. Then scavenge for guns and more equipment as you battle it out and reach the end. This mode included cash to buy additional equipment, gated areas that could be purchased, locked safes, and more, which were new to Counter-Strike and who haven't seen anything like this before. On July 22nd, 2019, ranks were added to the game, but it didn't originally work how we all know, since the queue just used to throw people into matches regardless of what rank you were. It was only changed in an update on June 3rd, 2021, that introduced rank-based and unranked matchmaking in the Danger Zone. Across the mode's 5-year lifespan, it featured 4 maps, 2 made by Valve, Blacksite and Sirocco, and 2 made by community members, Ember and Vineyard. All of these maps featured used to be played but on a timed queue, meaning the map would only change every 3 minutes to promote people playing different maps. Unfortunately, Danger Zone never got ported over to Counter-Strike 2 when the change was made due to the lack of players it attracted, which is a big shame as I really loved Danger Zone so many years ago. Me and my friend once grinded it for weeks and managed to get the highest rank possible. If I can find a screenshot, I'll put it on the screen right now, but I can't really remember where I've put it. The next mode is more a collection of game modes instead of one. This is War Games. Initially added to CSGO on May 23rd, 2017 in Operation Hydra, this mode contained Stab Stab Zap, Flying Scoutsman, Trigger Discipline, Boom Headshot, Hunters Gatherers, and Heavy Assault Suit. And instead of voting on what map you would play after the next match, you voted on what game mode you play instead. Starting with Stab Stab Zap, this mode was playable on Austria, Lake, Rialto, and Safe House, and put you on 2 teams and you're only allowed to use knives, Zeuses, and grenades. Trigger Discipline is another simple mode, based on the casual game mode, where the premise is that for every missed shot, you would lose health until you go down to 1 HP. This could be played on Austria, Dust 2, Inferno, Light, Mirage, and Thrill. Boom Headshot is a game mode based on the deathmatch mode, and again, it's pretty simple. Only headshots and backstabs count as damage, anywhere else was useless. All players spawned in with armor, but no helmet, and this was probably the most interesting map pool for me, such as Agency, Black Gold, Cache, Cobblestone, Insertion, and Nuke. Hunters Gatherers is basically kill confirmed. It needs no introduction. It's from every other game you've played. You know how it works. You kill people, you go collect dog tags. What more can I say? Heavy Assault Suit is a separate mode from the rest, since it includes special type of equipment that was available for purchase. For $6,000, you could buy the Heavy Assault Suit, which replaced the usual Kevlar and helmet. This mode was only available on bomb defusal maps in casual, however. Finally, in the Wargames update, there was a mode that stuck around a bit longer than the rest. This was Flying Scoutsman. I've left this one to last because it was the only one that was kept in the game after Operation Hydra. This mode restricted players to using the SSG and a knife, and reduced the gravity and accuracy penalties while midair. So, all of the shots that you hit were accurate while floating through the air. This mode was actually made permanent on November 13th, 2017. Guardian is a recurring game mode that tends to appear with every operation. Starting back in Operation Bloodhound and continuing through to Operation Riptide, this mode allowed you to play by yourself or with a friend, completing challenges such as getting a set amount of kills with a specific weapon, or against waves of bots. These bots got harder as the rounds go on and can eventually spawn in with heavy armor. The way to win in this game mode is by completing all 15 waves of enemies, or completing the weapon challenges. But if a mode is launched outside of a regular mission, then you can win after 10 waves. Losing can be quite irritating, however, since if the bots manage to rescue a hostage, plant a bomb, or kill both of yous, the 15-minute timer runs out before you complete the objective, then the round resets to 1 and you have to start all over again. Moving on to the final topic in this video. Factions in Counter-Strike now seem to be a thing of the past. Throughout CSGO, there were over 60 different default agents spanning across every map, but now there's only 2. The default T represents the Phoenix connection, and the default CT represents the British SAS. Obviously, you've got your own agents that can be obtained through operation drops, but why were these cut from the game? Well, we don't really have a direct answer, but only rumours. For example, it could be that certain agents might have been removed due to modern world politics, finding the original faction slightly outdated. Or the other option might be that they're all getting a revamp and could be added at a later date on all of the original maps for free, or inside of a bundle available to purchase, so you can choose your own. But personally, I would like to see these make a return. I'm not too keen on all of these random agents coming up with ridiculous skins. It just seems a bit like it's swaying away from what Counter-Strike's meant to be. I would prefer to have every faction based on each map, but that's just my personal opinion. So, just like the last one, wanted to put a little unscripted part in this video. Initially saying thank you so much for over 1,000 views on the first video. That was incredible. Never expected that to happen at all. And also apologies about the wait between the first one and this video. I just kind of got a bit sidetracked with stuff. I mean, work is obviously one of the main things. This is not a job. This is just a little hobby I decided to do. But yeah, work, social life, stuff like that. But I'm going to keep on trying to make something. I've got another script in mind. I even recorded the audio for it, but I'm not too sure if I want to go ahead with that project anymore. So I'll see. But no, I really appreciate all of the feedback on the last one. I've noted it, took some things down. Hopefully the microphone quality is a bit better this time, and video editing might be a bit more smoother for you this time as well. So yeah, but thank you again, and hopefully I'll catch you in the next one.